The True Reflection in the Mirror. This is a true story about a man who helped a woman get back on her feet, only to find out she wasn't the person he thought she was. There was a gentleman named Russell. Russell was a successful, well-known businessman who had traveled all over the world, always closing deals and living a life most people only wish they had the chance to experience. At one point, a great opportunity came his way. He received a call from the COO of a company called Sapphires 39. They wanted Russell to run a show in New York titled Men and Mimosas, a brunch event created for ladies where they could enjoy food, drinks, and entertainment. Russell lived in Atlanta, Georgia, but once he heard what they were willing to pay him for basically a 4-hour show every Sunday, he couldn't pass it up. The offer included his flight, hotel, and meals, 4 hours every Sunday. It made perfect sense, so he agreed. After traveling back and forth to New York for about 8 weekends in a row, Russell met a young lady. We'll call her Jill. He met Jill at another club in the same chain. Every now and then, they would stop by that location, and there were always plenty of beautiful women working there. Russell loved beautiful women, like most men do, and over time, he had met several different ladies. But this last time, he met Jill. For some strange reason, they hit it off. They spent exactly 2 weekends together. Nothing more, nothing less. Then tragedy struck. The pandemic hit, and the whole world shut down. None of us had ever experienced anything like that in our lifetime. Everything changed overnight. Fear was everywhere, and New York got hit especially hard. People were dying so fast, it felt unreal. It was chaos. So Russell suggested that Jill come to Atlanta and stay with him for a short period of time, just until things settled down. Now let's backtrack for a second. When Russell met Jill, she was working at the other club as a stripper. Now, fast forward. When she came to Georgia, she seemed quiet, soft-spoken, very timid at first. She was educated too. She had 2 degrees from Columbia College. No kids. On the outside, she looked like she had a lot going for herself, but life had clearly put her through the ringer. She was tiny, not even 100 pounds. Still, Russell didn't just see the person standing in front of him. He saw the person she could become. So he let her stay with him, and for a while, everything was fine. Until one day they got into an argument. Jill had a habit of leaving coffee cups around the house. Russell had just cleaned the kitchen, and he made a simple comment. He told her, "Hey love, once you finish with your coffee cup, please put it in the dishwasher." Instead of just saying okay, she looked at him and said, "I always do." But it was the tone that changed everything. Her voice was argumentative, sharp, defensive. Russell walked over to her while she was standing in front of the kitchen sink. He grabbed her, looked her in the face, and said, "If you did, we wouldn't be having this conversation." She tried to pull away, and he slightly pushed her. She fell. And just like that, it turned into a huge situation. Russell apologized, and Jill told him that was a deal-breaker, which was understandable. So he put her on a plane back to New York. About 3 days after she got back, reality must have set in. She realized there were no real options left for her in New York. At that point, she was already about $10,000 behind on her rent. During the pandemic, there had been a rent freeze, jobs were scarce, and the city was drowning in uncertainty. That's when she started calling Russell every single day. Eventually, he agreed to let her come back to Atlanta, but this time under different circumstances. He told her, "Instead of living with me, I'll help you get your own place, get a job, get a car, and become independent instead of codependent." At the time, Russell had great credit and money in the bank, so helping her get set up wasn't difficult. He was already living in a 3-bedroom house, so he didn't need anything from her. He was fine. He found her a beautiful 1-bedroom apartment in a gated community. Then he helped her get a job working with a friend's wife, a job she may still have to this day. She had only come to Atlanta with a small suitcase. Russell blessed her with a brand new wardrobe and bought her a car. It wasn't brand new, but it was paid for. No car note, no debt. Russell had always been into health and fitness, so he got her into working out too. She went from 98 pounds to 136 pounds of muscle. In many ways, her life had completely changed. Things were good, until Russell was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. The entertainment business, which had been good to him since he was 18 years old, started to dry up. Financially, things got harder, and physically, his condition began to affect him in ways he couldn't ignore. Their sex life changed too. They went from having a very active, robust relationship to maybe being intimate once every 2 weeks. Not because he didn't find her attractive, but because MS had begun taking its toll. And once all those changes happened, that's when Russell says he saw her change too. She went from being quiet and sweet to suddenly having an answer for everything. She wanted to debate over the smallest things. It was confusing, frustrating, and mind-boggling. And keep in mind, they were together for 4 years. That was the longest relationship Russell had ever been in. He had even suggested that she take out a life insurance policy on him so that if something happened to him, she would at least receive something. She declined. At that point in his life, Russell had never been married. In fact, he had been shopping for wedding rings because he was seriously thinking about making her his wife. He felt that the one thing he could give her that no other woman had ever had from him was his last name. Yes, there was an age difference. Today, she would be around 38 or 39, and Russell is currently 55. But that wasn't the issue. What stayed in his mind was something she said toward the end of their relationship. She told him, "Well, I had other options." And that statement never sat right with him. Because if she had other options, then why, after going back to New York, did she call him every single day, apologizing, saying the whole situation was her fault, and begging for another chance? Why did she come back to Atlanta? That question still echoes in his head. If you had other options, why did you end up back here with me? And the truth is, there's still more to the story. If you'd like to hear part 2, just say more.